People are strange. Fucking strange.
Is that strange?
That is strange.
Strange.
That is strange.
Wow, that is strange. This is strange.
And welcome back to another episode of Strange Sauna Flex. What are we gonna do? We have Dan Bongino, Kash Patel lying out their asses saying that Jeffrey Epstein didn't do you-know-what to himself. We all know what happened. His hyoid bone or something was broke. I mean, the length of the rope wasn't even long enough to hang himself. I mean, the camera stopped working. The security guards were knocked out or sleeping, whatever the hell. So they're saying he actually just, he offed himself. He did the dirty. And then we have this attack that just happened at the Israeli embassy. And so we're going to kind of talk about, was that a little FF kind of action? Was that something to spark the emotions to get everybody sympathizing for Israel again? So what are your thoughts, sir?
Well, my intel, and I can't tell you who it is because if I tell you, I'd have to kill you.
Always.
I feel there's something coming up this summer, and I think there's going to be something big in the fall. I think there's going to be big arrests in the fall. I think there's going to be a few over the summer, and I think this Dan Bongino and Kash Patel video, they looked like they were lying out of their teeth,
right?
And I kind of agree a little bit with what one of our patrons was saying on the other show that you have, the call-in show.
Mm-hmm.
My thought on this, Greg, is they are trying to either just bring attention to it. They are either trying to, I think something's going to come. And I think what they're doing is maybe they're trying to not get the bad guys alerted to it. But how could you not?
Right.
How could you not?
Right. So you think it's a big optics game going on right now?
It has to be because they looked like they were riding the short bus on that one. They looked whole retard, and they looked very uncomfortable. So they're either lying to their teeth because they want to get everyone razzed and be like, hey, but something is coming, just hold your horses.
Right.
They've been compromised. They've been maybe threatened.
Mm-hmm. Millions of reasons why.
There's millions of reasons. But the real reason of them saying he killed or off themselves is not true. Like anybody with a brain cell can read their body language. I might have sent you a video about the body language. One guy's like eyebrows. I mean, Kash Patel always looks like he's high on something.
I know his eyes are crazy.
I got big eyes. Listen, you don't see my eyes, guys, but I got some big eyes too.
Look at those suckers. Oh my gosh. You got to show
big.
those. You could do the Kash Patel real easy, dude.
I got the Hulk Hogan eyes. So I'm actually thinking from my intel that summertime there's going to be something, some arrests.
Okay.
And then I think the big arrest with HC Hillary Clinton will be in October. I'm just calling it now.
Like the Q post says, huh?
Well, you have to you have to, I don't have a button. You have to do something They got to do something because all this is doing is pissing off people. And now you've got quite a few people that did like Dan Bongino saying, I don't even want to follow you anymore. Like, what are you doing? So he's losing his base.
Right.
Trump has lost his base with some of this stuff too. And maybe they know they have to be so outside the box.
That's a big maybe, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, so before we go any further, let's play the actual video of these guys. And a lot of people have probably already seen this, but this is Dan Bongino and Kash Patel kind of getting questioned by Maria Bartiromo about the Epstein stuff, okay?
Yeah.
So I put this video on Instagram.
Take it with a grain of salt. This is from Fox. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, here we go. Wait, can you guys not hear that?
I cannot hear that.
Well, son of a biscuit. Hold on just a second here. All right, here. Let me close that out. We'll try it again.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean,
Did you hear
listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to get, I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work.
It's hard work. I like this guy's comment right here. Trump had Epstein killed. Now Trump's picks are making sure it's covered up. Trump was president when Epstein was killed. Trump is president now. Trump appointed these men to their positions. Can't argue with that. I mean, that's hard to argue, but you're saying optics, though. You're going with optics?
Yeah, I'm going. You know what? I mean, Dan Bongino is what gave it away. But Kash Patel always had that same stunned look on his face. But
you heard him laughing, like at the beginning of the question.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
And I don't believe that they believe what they're saying.
No. But dude, so check this out, because I actually have a video, a side-by-side of Dan Bongino back in 2023, and people are like, dude, what changed?
Yes,
what
that's
changed? Right. So here, I want to make sure that this is linked up, the sound quality here, because that was a little foobar on my end. I didn't realize this thing kind of goes back and forth, so let me get that good.
Well, I'm unfollowing you, Greg.
I know.
Can't deal with this.
Amateur. This is amateur shit.
Amateur.
All right, here we go. So this is Dan Bongino in 2023, everybody, compared to what he just said.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. Catherine Rumler, we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it. Outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
He killed himself. You want me to get, I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I've seen the whole file. What file are you talking about? The whole file? Like, what? Are there any files?
Why bring this to light and why be interviewed? Because it only makes them look bad.
Right. The slings and arrows.
Optics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Unless it's optics, you know, and it's kind of like what we were talking about when you guys had your call-in show and the other show. First of all, folks, that's on Pardon My American. People were like, "Does Strange Sauna have a call-in show?"
Oh yeah,
maybe one day.
You know what?
We'll
we got to get back into the YouTube live. It's just like, yeah, I got to fix some stuff around here, and then maybe we can do it.
Because we like to talk with you guys and stuff like that. But on that call-in show, one of the patrons called in, and he made a good point. He was just like, you know, you can't release the files and do all this until you grab as much as you can of certain people. And this is very delicate. We have to keep in mind here that they can't release names unless they know for sure these certain people are involved, because there are people that went to that island to talk business, to do donations, to get donations, and may or have not taken part in this. You can't come out and said, well, Greg went to the island and Flex went to the island, and then we're on the list. We might have been on the list to join a party. I've been to many house parties where fights and stuff broke out after I left.
Or they're doing illegal drugs or something, right?
Exactly. So I understand that's the case. I'd rather them say that, hey, like, we are getting to this, but we have to make sure we have the right people and the right that we go after the right people. We have the undisputable evidence, you know. So that's why I think there's a bit of an optics here. I
think that everybody is just kind of to the point where they're going, you've been handling this case for 7 years, and I get it. Like, they're saying not like the appropriate people were not in place. Right. Yeah. So like if you had Trump's first administration, the FBI was going after his ass. So it's kind of like, but to be fair, Trump fired Comey and put in Christopher Wray. So Trump handpicked Christopher Wray. So if you're saying that Christopher Wray is also this deep state, what's Trump doing? Right. Did he do that on purpose? Was that all optics? Did he purposefully delay all of this? Because to me, all of this is being used as a political tool. This was a promise on Trump's administration, well, Trump's campaign to get back. He's like, I'm going to release the JFK files. I'm going to release the Epstein files. All this stuff's going to come to light. You guys are going to get full transparency and truth. After his app, he named his app Truth, right? He's setting the trail as I am the truth slayer or whatever, truth teller.
And
now he's the truth slayer.
And his administration will be transparent, transparency, because governments aren't transparent.
Right. And so, like, here's the deal, though, is you're right. Pam Bondi fucking up. I'm just going to come out and say it with the binders, with all this bullshit. Like, I have the Epstein files on my desk. Everything's getting released tomorrow. Nothing. Like, we're literally at nothing. And then we have these two guys coming out here talking to us like we're full hard R, dude. And I'm like, no.
It makes them look bad. So I'm wondering, is it really a fuck up, or are they really trying to wake people up because there's all the Diddy stuff going on as well? Like, there are people, Greg, that have no idea what these people do behind closed doors. And like I said, this all comes down to the kids. The only reason why I started to support and follow Trump in 2020 during COVID was him talking about the deep state and governments, and this is what they're doing. But when he brought up the kids and the child trafficking, and I did my research, I was like, wow, this has to have a light shown on it. This has to be dealt with. And I know I keep saying, I've said it probably almost every week, how hard is it just to arrest somebody who's done something? It's not that difficult. But do you take them all down at one time, or do you do it in pieces, which is what our other Patreon member was saying, is you got to do it in stages. And I agree with that.
Well, and he was also saying you got to stop, you got to like take out the handlers first, and then instead of getting the low level people, like the people buying the kids.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to find perverts to buy the kids. You got to take out like from the top down, right?
Yeah. And I get that. And I mean, like, if it's as big as we think it is, this is not as easy as just going in and sweeping up people, because these are people that run our country. These are people that own big corporations that we buy from. This is Hollywood. This is the music industry. Like, we're not talking like Joe Blow, who just lives down the street and is a little creepy. And, he's always got the little kids hanging out on his front porch. That dude is easy to take out.
So this
is a little different.
I could get on this bandwagon, but like, why is Trump still alive? Because if we know about this, you don't think those running these, like the cabal, knows about this? Like, you'd feel like if you were running like the world's biggest pedophile ring, you would have all your T's crossed, all your I's dotted, and you'd be watching your back and more, right? You'd be knowing things, what's coming, what's going. You'd have everything crossed, right? And like when Donald Trump gets in power and you have this threat of exposing the Epstein, all this stuff, like something that could implicate you as the cabal, right?
Yep.
Why would you allow this to happen? That's my only question, is like, it's not that they're like, because the argument is, well, maybe they're not as powerful as they think. They're just dumb. And I refuse to say that, because all the evidence points otherwise, right?
And there's a very small part of me that thinks this has already been taken care of, and we are watching it play out. So now you've got Joe Biden. The real Joe Biden, folks, has been gone since 2019. Let's be honest. This is not the same Joe Biden. Now we're finding out that he has cancer. So there's this. And listen, my mom passed from cancer. We have people in this group that have fought cancer. Whether this guy has it or not, whoever's playing him. My thing is they're trying to get the sympathy vote, and that he can't. You won't want any charges laid against this guy. And when Trump is saying he didn't sign any of these executive orders, he wasn't running the country. It's all coming out at this really, really weird time. And I'm kind of sitting there going like, it's really piling on right now, where I'm like, okay, like, he made this cryptic tweet. It actually wasn't cryptic. He just basically said on his Truth Social or X, this is Trump, saying all roads lead to Obama. Like, there's some really interesting stuff coming out now. Like, either they've already got these people put away and they're just now doing it,
Do you want me to play this video that you sent?
Yeah, you can play this one here. And by the way, this could be me wearing a mask. I'm not going to say.
Oh yeah, looks like flex. This is everybody just listening on audio.
My shoulders are way broader. My shoulders are way broader than that.
This is a Guy Fawkes mask, so an anonymous guy here. Here we go.
A high-stakes game is being played out before our eyes. This morning, President Donald J. Trump posted a photo from the Oval Office. He and Barack Obama sitting side by side. Above them, all roads lead to Obama. Below, read truth if you want public military tribunals. This isn't a meme. This isn't trolling. It's a signal. To understand it, we need to go back. First to the 8647 post from James Comey. A cryptic message. A number, 8647. Mob code for eliminate Trump. But also exactly 8,647 days after 9/11.
That's important.
Was that a message or a threat to the president and to us, the country? Is he saying, we did it once, we can do it again? Then Trump responds, not with panic, but with purpose. At 8:37 a.m. yesterday, the president posted a chilling video. The video Hillary Clinton does not want you to see. A documentary-style expose. Names, faces, bodies, a long trail of death, silence and suspicion. And now this. This isn't politics as usual. This is Game of Thrones, played out in real life. And the throne at stake? Global power. Trump is separating from Netanyahu. He's cutting the strings, forging peace with Arab states, without the war machine's blessing. Because Trump stands for something the globalists fear. Peace without their permission. Watch closely, because this isn't just a political battle. It's the final chapter of an empire built on lies, and the first spark of a new world rising. My friends, we are all anonymous, and the game only ends when the truth is no longer feared.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, why is Trump still alive then? I mean, riddle me this.
We should just put that on a t-shirt. But that's what I mean. unless, like I said, there's a very small part of me, and it's growing a little bit, not a lot, that this has already been taken care of and this is being played out. Because a lot has been dropped lately with Trump. Yeah, like these aren't like people just saying this is what we think Trump is doing. He went on to his Truth Social, and he's talked about Hillary. He's talked about Obama. He just had some leader from Africa in the Oval Office, and he's like, turn the lights down. And he's basically saying, this is what you're doing. So there's a lot there. And,
Trump's got balls. But
he does. And there's this contrast of stuff that we look at that he's doing when we're like, I don't know about that, which Greg and I bring up, like this new golden dome they want to put over the U.S.
All of his
military.
AI infrastructure bullshit and all this stuff. Yeah,
so there's all that. But then at the same time, we're like, this is the shit we've been waiting for. Like, what are we doing? So it's either it's already been played out. They're already in Gitmo. They're already been taken care of. Maybe, don't know. I mean, a lot of these guys have been swapped out. Biden was, in 2019. It's not the same dude.
I don't understand like the whole like all roads lead back to Obama, because this shit started way before Obama. Like George Bush seen way before any of this. Like before 9/11, this started like with the formation of the CIA. This started with like Harry Truman.
I think it's an easy sell because Obama was a very liked president. Bush wasn't, his dad wasn't, maybe Clinton, but Obama was sort of revered as this eloquent speaker, first black president. So I feel it's an easy sell to be like, look at him first. And then when you go, then you might be able to look at others. And it's not so far back as Bush 1 and 2 and Clinton. It's more recent. Also because Obama is the one that said, we need a spy on this dude. It wasn't Bush that did it. It wasn't even Hillary that did it. Obama did it. So I think it's a bit of an easy sell.
Right. But it's almost like I'm like, who told Obama to do it? You know what I mean? Because when you look at like the big C little v,
good question.
And the worldwide, like the whole world shut down and they were all in unison. There's some sort of global mesh working together with this communication and let's follow the leader and everybody does what they're told. Right. So who told Obama to do this? Like this
That's
isn't
why
like
I think that's why I think it's an easy sell, because once you realize that the people in power aren't in power and the strings are pulled elsewhere,
Mhm.
which might include Trump, but I think, if you still believe in a bit of the plan where he's like, no, the military brought me in, the military invited me to come in, like his first inauguration when he's saying we're giving the U.S. back to its people, and all these military people walked down the stairs behind him and stood there. Like there's all these things that I go back and look at and go, well, what was the point of that? Because that was a different Trump than now. The Trump we have now is not playing around. He's not playing around. He's really like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And like I said, out of every 7 good things, there's 3 things that make me go, but I don't know.
right. No, and that's definitely on the table. I think that like this whole save Israel for last thing and playing the optics game is a route that is definitely possible.
Yeah.
And when you think about it from like this biblical perspective, like all the Q posts were saying this is going to be biblical, dark to light, all this Freemasonic type of shit too. I mean, I'm just like throwing it out there. It was completely Freemasonic to me.
Yeah.
Game of chess,
Everything is.
chess player. And then like, I just think that what we're going to replace this with, I think it's exactly what we've been talking about, man. Like it is Game of Thrones, but like, I think that they're all on the same kind of throne. I don't know if like you're going to have people that are like, what, backstabbed? And so I feel like it's all a movie, and everything that happens to people, I feel like might be expected to happen at some point, because when you play the game, your time is going to come up, and your time it's time for you to either be humiliated, die, do something crazy, right? Because that's like, if you're in the big club, like you got to pay your dues.
And like I said, I think the club is trying to rebrand itself. So maybe they're going to get rid of this child trafficking and expose it. And they're going to do a lot of stuff we want, but at the same time, they're not going to give up their control on us. They can't.
Yeah.
So you and like, I sit there and going,
they're going to get more
I want
power.
this exposed. Yeah, I want this to be exposed. I want this to happen. Oh yeah, I'd like to have this too, but at the same time, they're still going to have some strings attached to us, but enough to appease us. I think that's what's happening, is they're appeasing us that want something to happen, and then down the road, we're like, hey man, I'm okay with no taxes, but now I have to sign up for the digital dollars.
Exactly, you're tracked 100%, no matter where you do or where you go, what you buy.
You put people away, which we wanted, so you get a little bit of one or the other. Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, those people are so old right now. Like, if you even put them away, what are they going to have? I mean, here's the little funny meme that I have here. This is AI that this was all put together. Here, I'm going to mute that because that's a Jay-Z song. But you got Johnson's baby oil, Jeffrey Epstein, eating some pizza with Hillary, hugging out with LeBron, conjugal visits, playing some basketball with LeBron, Jeffrey Epstein drinking pee. He is chugging it and loving it. Look at that.
Yeah, and the guy he's drinking with is who's that guy?
LeBron?
Sorry. No, it's not LeBron. If you go back, it's the guy that used to pee on the what's his name?
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly.
That's right.
That's R. Kelly. That's R. Kelly.
Gosh.
Now you have Candace Owen having interviews with Weinstein saying that these people lied. Like, yeah, maybe I might have hit on them, but I never raped or did anything or raped or did anything. So there's just a lot coming out. Like, it's just like on the sexual assault and the stuff with the kids.
Yeah. Dude, AI is crazy. I'm just going to put it that way. Like, this is absolutely insane to me. Like, as far as, I mean, you could definitely tell it's AI. But I mean, come on, dude. That's like, I have a couple videos of AI that looks legit. Like interviews that never happened.
I know I laughed there. It's funny, but it's not a laughing matter when we know what they've been doing to kids and to humans, trafficking them and stuff like that. And like I said, their currency is human trafficking.
Right.
If you believe in the drinking of their whatever, their blood, like listen, these people are very wealthy. They do some really creepy shit. Everyone, behind closed doors has got some fetish or stuff like that. I don't care what your fetish is. Just stop with this. And maybe that's what they're going to do is like, hey, we're going to use some of these people as an scapegoat. We're going to clean it up a bit and it will appease some of us.
Right.
And while they're appeasing some of us or a lot of us, patriots, down the road, they're, sneaking in a couple things,
well, what's that phrase? Like you sacrifice a few to save the many. You know what I mean? That's what they're doing. Like they're throwing a couple under the bus to make sure this wheel keeps on rolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like the wheel to me in the next phase of thing is the digital dollar. It's AI. Obviously, AI is like becoming integrated with everything that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And like the digital dollar is going to be the next thing. And I know that there's people that's like, I don't think that that's coming. I just don't see how they're going to do it. But you incentivize.
Listen, guys, it's already there. I work online. Right. I never see money. It's just when I sold my house, I never actually saw the money. It was just numbers on a bank statement. I was like, oh, all right. I'd like to see what this looks like in a briefcase, please.
Yeah.
But banks don't have that money there. Remember, banks will lend out your money 9 times of what you've given. So you give them $100,000, banks are lending out $900,000.
Yeah.
That's $900,000 of made up money. So the digital currency, we're there already.
Yep.
So I go to Uber Eats, boom, order my food, use my credit card. I'm not even when I tip them, I'm not even handing cash tip. Like back in the day when the pizza guy came, you would be like, okay, the pizza's $25. Who's got $5? And everyone's scrounging for the like $5, make it an even 30.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
Yeah, dude. So I'm just saying like we are there, but like the option to go cash, you know what I mean? If you want to do a side deal on something and not, or if you want to get paid under the table and not pay taxes, that kind of stuff, that's not going to happen. Like you will be tracked. Everything that you earn or spend will be tracked. And they say, yeah, okay, that's going to clean up the government. Maybe that's like a solution there, right? Like you can audit the government once a year, but I mean, are there loopholes in this digital currency plan?
There's always loopholes. And these people are very, very smart. They're not going to put something in place that doesn't keep them, in the shadows. To transparency will never be there. B, first of all, we're private citizens. Listen to what that means, folks. Private citizens. We're not private.
Nope.
They know everything about us. The government is private and we are transparent. It's been flipped. It's flipped. They're not going to give that up.
No.
Unless they kind of massage it in and go, well, we're not going to have taxes anymore. This is good. This is that, but you have to sign up for this. You got to do this, and again, like I said, most people will say yes to that. I mean, the only way you get around this, folks, is you have to start a business of your own, be self-employed, and then you tell the government how much you make. So when you actually are self-employed, you pay taxes. You guys that work for a company, you don't pay taxes. They take tax. There's a difference between paying it and taking it. So when you have cash on you, listen, when I trained in Toronto, I used to have a wad of cash this big. They were all like $5 bills. I looked richer than I was, but I had like a little rubber band around it and stuff like that. I use that to buy stuff. I never put that money in the bank because I'm like, here's an extra bit, but that cash doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Paying the cash.
We'll see where it goes. There was another thing in that Dan Bongino, Kash Patel kind of interview that they talked about the Trump assassination attempts, and they just, yeah, trust me, Maria, we've looked at the files. There's nothing there. There's no there. If there was a there, trust me. And it's like argument was trust me, bro. And it's like, dude, no, sorry. The whole thing stunk to high heaven.
Why go on and why be interviewed and why reopen the door to that?
Right.
So just last week, I said to you, Greg, we were talking about it, saying it's funny how nothing's been talked about. This apparently was horrific. Apparently someone got killed.
Yeah.
Trump got shot. His Secret Service failed him. We don't know anything about the shooter. It's just like nothing's been talked about.
And Trump just let it go.
Why reopen that?
Yeah.
Because all that does is for me and Greg to say, hello, like we told you so.
Right. Or like, obviously it was a setup to make Trump look like a victim.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. I mean, he wasn't even shot. everybody. Like, it was fake blood. His ear, there's no way, like, he just, miraculously saved by a bullet and all. And the audience member was just dragged away, a murder scene, just dragged away. I
might have sent you a video of what the ear should have looked like, and I'm just like, this is what an ear should look like.
Right.
Did you see Evander Holyfield's ear when he got bitten by Tyson?
Exactly. Right. Even if the bullet whizzes by your ear, it's going to significantly slice that ear.
It's going to just rip it off. It's going to rip it off.
So either way, it's just like a bunch of stuff that is, nonsense. People know that it's nonsense, and we just feel like we're continued to be lied to. And it's like nothing's going to change. That's what I feel like, is like, don't trust the plan. Nothing's going to change. And Trump just hired people to be sycophantic and continue to do the job that the government's good at, is just lie to the people. Yeah. And here comes another story.
I hope that's not it. Like, I really don't. Like, part of me still feels like I hope that's not it. And if I'm wrong, I owe a few people some steak dinner. So I'll have to fly down to a couple places in the States. One's Washington State,
Mm-hmm.
I owe Danielson a steak dinner. I might as well meet Greg and take him out too. But if I'm wrong, and I'd love to be wrong, guys. Like, my ego's been checked a long time ago with all this. Greg and I aren't here with our egos. We're just trying to just bring you stuff that we've researched, and a lot of this stuff is stuff that's coming out of their own mouths.
Right.
Where you're like, hey, like that video, Dan, you said this in 2023.
Yep.
Now you're saying this now. Dan, you said, what's the one thing you want the most? Israel to be protected. And we're like, not your family, not your health.
Mm-hmm.
He had cancer. He's just what? So
right. So speaking of that, I do want to. So in that anonymous video that we just played, he talked about this James Comey post. Where
sorry, I'm turning off my TV because it looks like I've got gunfire or strobe light going on.
Well, there you go.
My bad.
You got a dance party.
My bad. I wish.
So we slightly talked about this at the end of last episode because this was trending. So Comey got this, shame put on him for posting this 8647, and he found this apparently. And I'm going to play a video of him explaining the scenario, and you can tell how full of shit he is. But like, it says 8647, and he happens to post that exactly 8,647 days from September 11th, 2021. Right.
I remember you text me right after the show. And you're like, look at this. I'm like, no.
I was like, there's no way we missed this. But so here is James Comey explaining this story, and just listen to his excuse. And he just miraculously found the shells in that formation. Interesting.
You were back in the middle of a political firestorm.
Yeah, for walking on the beach with my wife. So I don't know how we ended up here. It never occurred to me that it was any kind of controversial thing, but that's the time we live in.
So take me back to the walk on the beach.
We were walking on the beach. We went to the beach to prepare for this week, which was the launch of my book, and to think about the book and to prepare to answer questions about it.
That's another thing, folks, is he has a freaking book coming out.
Yeah.
Why do you think his name is swirling in the news? He has a book to sell you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
And we were walking back towards the road, and we saw in the sand someone had arranged shells with numbers. And Patrice, my wife, said, why would someone put an address in the sand? And I said, I don't know. And we stood over it, and I said, I think it's some kind of like political message. And she said, 86, when I was a server, she did a lot of work in restaurants, meant to remove an item from the menu when you ran out of ingredients. And I said, well, to me, as a kid, it always meant to leave a place, to ditch a place. I said, that's really clever. So then she said, you should take a picture of that. And I did. And I posted it on my Instagram account and thought nothing more of it until I heard through her that people were saying it was some sort of a call for assassination, which is crazy. But I took it down. Even if I think it's crazy, I don't want to be associated with violence of any kind.
Yeah. So here's the deal is he posted that. I think he knew that was the amount of days exactly from 9/11. And
he's
I bet
part
you
of the FBI. Like, come on, he's not stupid.
So I looked up like what was his involvement, like what was he doing in 9/11? Like he was like the lead, like in New Hampshire or not New Hampshire, something going on. He wasn't doing a lot, it sounded like. But then he got tasked with like this bombing that happened over in the Middle East somewhere. Anyway, there's no way that you just randomly found this set of numbers in the sand with some seashells and just decided to take a picture. I bet you even had it up for like 9 minutes, 11 seconds, and then took it down. I don't even know if that's true, but hey, someone could verify that.
We'll lie about it and say it happened.
Right. Well, so you have that happen, and then you get reports of this shooting that happened outside of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C.
And that happened today or yesterday?
I think that happened early this morning. And so you have two people that were killed, Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lischinski. So,
bless you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So they were both Christians, and people are pointing this out. They're like, well, they're Christian, Judeo-Christian, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So they're, sacrificed because they're not true Jewish. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But people were saying that this is kind of like this false flag type of thing. And you look at what happened the day before that. So the day before that, you had the Israeli IDF. They happened to shoot on international diplomats who were like located in this area that they're not supposed to be going to. Mm-hmm. And so you have like this kind of story that was trending all day yesterday. Israeli troop fires warning shots at 25 diplomats visiting the occupied West Bank. Outrage after Israeli army fires warning shots at French and other diplomats. Canada summons Israeli ambassadors over shots fired towards 4 Canadian, blah, 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 right?
We didn't summon anybody. We have pigeons. That's how we get our messages across.
Yeah.
Stick a note in a pigeon. Oh, Canada, please sit down. Elbows down and sit down.
Gotcha. Yeah. So like this was the video that I saw. This was like around 25. So they were visiting West Bank and they entered this area that they were not supposed to go. And so the IDF sent some warning shots, and this video is kind of going viral here. So it's just people running. It's all frantic, going crazy. Right?
Yeah.
Getting in their cars.
Sorry. I don't even believe this video. If you rewind it, look at the very first guy is smiling as he's running with his camera. Look at him right there. He's smiling.
Cheese.
Yeah, bullshit. Bullshit. That's the stuff I will look for, folks. Sorry.
How do we know this isn't AI? Honestly, like all the videos, the faces are so blurry.
Greg,
with what we just watched.
I'm starting to think a lot of this is AI.
Wag the dog.
I was thinking when you were showing me the Comey video right now, I was saying to myself, how do we know any of this is real? And again, if that small part of me feels like this has been taken care of and it's playing out, maybe all these people have already been taken care of. Mm-hmm. Like the AI that you and I use, and I use it for editing, it's pretty good. I mean, these guys, they don't look real.
Look at all their faces. It looks very, very blurry.
Yeah, very blurry, pixelated, and you'll always find an arm or a limb disappearing. It looks like they're cut out, and that's just look at the background. I'm calling BS on this right now, and I think a lot of what we're seeing, folks, is BS. To either scare us.
Look at this camera guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they were there like to do some official business, so maybe they had camera films and stuff, but that's a professional cameraman, everybody. What's he doing there?
Yeah, I don't think any of this is as real as we think it is. If it's not AI, it's staged. Like that dude was running and smiling as he was taking a selfie.
Right. So I'm just saying, like, regardless whether it was staged or not, that is what was trending in the news. And then today you have this story of these two members of this Israeli embassy being shot to death, right? And so everybody's just going like, oh, wait a second. There's some weird stuff going on here because they were shot outside of this place when it closed like 6 hours prior. So here's this guy. He's putting a kind of... Here, I can put us back on the screen here. Saying, kind of weird to get killed outside the Jewish museum that closed 6 hours before the shooting. And he's showing that this Capitol Jewish Museum is open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and the shooting happened around 9:08 p.m. And yeah, he's saying like this is literally right next to the FBI DC field office. I'm just saying. So like the Capitol Jewish Museum is right next to the FBI DC field office.
Of course it is.
So it's just like, what? That's strange, right? So like the timing of this whole thing is like, it doesn't really make sense. And then the shooter himself was just kind of like chilling, dude. So like here's him being arrested, and the arrest footage looks very suspicious because you only have like one cop there, and they have this free clear footage of this man, and they give him the opportunity to sit here and yell "Free Palestine," right? There's only one cop there. I don't know what this guy's doing.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
See? Right? So it's just like there's...
And this guy's just leaning against the wall, chilling.
Right.
And I thought these phones were all 4K phones. Like I've actually filmed.
Right.
Like, why is all this footage looking like this? Because it's all BS. All of it's BS.
Right.
On both sides. Like it's just, it's so fucking numbing. I'm telling you guys. It's just.
So here's this person saying the shooter in Washington attack, which killed the 2 Israeli embassy staff, did not flee the scene. He carried out the act and asked somebody to call the police. He confessed and waited calmly without resistance. He's just sitting there.
Of course he did.
Right? So like what was this really about? Like, why would you do that? And then why would you be allowed to just start yelling "Free Palestine"? And you're starting this movement of, okay, I'm connecting the dots. Those who are pro-Palestine, they're going to start murdering Israeli folk, right? And then you have the movement of all of the political machine coming out and saying that, yes, we condemn this. I mean, nobody should be killed. But they're saying... Netanyahu. Here, hold on.
Remember, folks, controversy creates cash. So when you're got controversy out there and you want to start wars and you want to, get a video to go viral, it creates cash. That's all this is. You know, it's creating cash down the road for somebody. Pass a new bill, give the okay. Now we can attack. Start another war, and stuff like that. So controversy creates cash. That will be our first T-shirt.
And then here's Netanyahu. So he is saying these 2 words are equivalent to another 2 words.
Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler. Free Palestine.
Okay. So he's saying if you say Free Palestine, that means Heil Hitler. All right. And you have other people coming out saying we need to do something about this. Here is a congressman. Who is this? This is Republican Congressman. I don't even know his name. Randy Fine. So he's talking about them being nuked. So in Gaza, they should just nuke Gaza. Here we go.
The fact of the matter is the Palestinian cause is an evil one.
Yeah, and Congressman, there is a ceasefire deal on the table right now that the White House is hoping both Israel and Hamas will sign on to. Right. That's another big deal that you should realize is there's a ceasefire agreement right now.
Yep.
And this happened during that. So, I mean, it gives Israel now leverage to say, well, I'm not signing shit. Right. But listen to what this guy says.
Does this shooting change anything when it comes to the course of the war or the negotiations to end it?
Well, I think it speaks to the importance of the only end of the conflict is complete and total surrender by those who support Muslim terror. In World War II, we did not negotiate a surrender with the Nazis. We did not negotiate a surrender with the Japanese. We nuked the Japanese twice in order to get unconditional surrender. That needs to be the same here. There is something deeply, deeply wrong.
So we need to nuke them twice to get unconditional surrender, right?
Yeah. What I find wrong, dude, is let's see how much money you've taken from AIPAC. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Well, not only that, but like how many people has Israel killed, right? Here's Laura Loomer. I fully support Israel doing whatever they need to do to root out Palestinian terror by any means necessary. Please root out Palestinian terrorism, which is now infecting our country and every American city. How you would do that, I have no idea. She goes on to say, just let Israel do what needs to be done. The world will need to be will be safer.
No.
So,
when Americans realize that they are controlled, bought and owned by Israel, like their government, that's the first Band-Aid that needs to be ripped off, is when they realize, hey, every part of your culture is owned and bought for by the Israeli government. And then you go one step deeper with the Mossad, which is basically 9/11, maybe this false flag, Jeffrey Epstein,
JFK.
maybe even Diddy as well, JFK. Like at some point, it's kind of like the bow's got to break here, and I'm not sure what that means with save Israel for last.
Right.
That whole saying. Like,
well, and to be honest, like Israel isn't the only one that does these FFs. Like we do plenty of them on our own citizens all the time, right? So the United States is equally to blame. So with every other country. Here's Donald Trump. These horrible DC killings based obviously on anti-Semitism must end now. Hatred and radicalism have no place in the USA. Condolences to the families, blah, 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 blah. So he's coming out saying that this was an anti-Semitic attack.
We need to start decoding some of Trump's stuff, because he puts certain words always in capital letters.
He's a gematria queen, dude.
I just was looking at the queen.
Yeah. So then this was interesting. So people recorded. This was a live witness that was caught recorded, and they were asked about this, and people were like, "Does this seem genuine to you?" So listen to this man's response here. Okay.
Happened to be walking past at the time. John, thank you for talking to us this evening. Deeply disturbing scene for you to witness. If it's okay with you, would you just share with us and tell us exactly what you saw happen this evening?
I was walking by, and a guy came up and looked like a gun. I couldn't tell what it was, but I heard it afterwards, the shots, and he shot this young couple.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Okay.
No.
Starts crying.
No.
Then he ran inside and
Christ actor.
Yep.
yelled something.
Look how many times he's blinking, folks. Telltale sign of someone lying is multiple blinks.
Ran up. It was
I'm going to pause it. So he's not even crying. If you're just listening to this, he's not even crying. He's just standing there. He's making sounds like he's crying, like whimpering, but he's not physically crying. He's
they're just standing and go back and watch how quickly he's blinking throughout the whole thing right off the bat, which is a telltale sign that you're lying.
terrible.
Right? Look, here he goes.
Look, I can do it too, Greg.
He knew him, but I don't think he knew him. But he went right up to him.
I don't know.
See, like,
I don't know.
Who are these people that they interview? Like, what?
Just they're actors. Anything that's on TV, everybody's acting, including governments and still politicians. Like they're all they tell you bad actors. They're all acting. And when you can just wake up from your dumb slumber and just realize these guys are acting, you don't need to take this shit seriously,
Right. But so you look at this, and here's some more interesting information about one of the guys who died. He was a Christian who served in the IDF, dedicated his life to Israel and Zionism. So he actually served in the IDF, and based off of the events of October 7th, the Hannibal Directive, where
what's IDF?
Israeli Defense,
Israel Defense,
something. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it is Israel Defense Forces. So during so the Hannibal Directive was exposed during the October 7th attack, and where they get if you are a prisoner of war, they would rather have you like, it's basically like they don't care if you die type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to like put words in people's mouths and make it seem like it's something that's not, but it's essentially like bomb them so that way our intelligence isn't shared. Right?
Yeah.
We would rather have our men die than our intelligence get leaked. Right?
Our own government does that to us. They'd rather us dead than alive. They don't care. They don't care.
Right. And that is the whole point of the Trump assassination attempt. Like, yes, it was real. Yes, people got killed because they need that, right? They need like people to die to make it seem like a real deal and to get emotion to spark in this thing. Not only that, but they can choose who they want to die.
Yeah.
Right?
It's called collateral damage.
Yeah, but like this guy was a volunteer firefighter, that camarader guy. He was a volunteer firefighter. He actually worked in like a plastics manufacturing plant. And the firefighter thing was blown up as like, was his real job. Like, no, he was a volunteer. Like his real job was working on a manufacturing line in like a plastics plant. But you guys took that story and ran with it and you blew it up and you had the firefighting thing, like his uniform out on stage. Like Donald Trump went and hugged it and kissed it. And I'm like, this is disgusting, right? Like it's
that
a political
tells me
plot.
right there that tells me there's something iffy about that too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everything's iffy.
But so here's the comments, and people are saying the left is losing it because they're seeing these comments saying like free Palestine, suspect or hero. This guy was a hero for like killing people and stuff. But you got to remember, like these could be bots, everybody. And remember 4chan, like they just came out with this whole thing saying the majority of posts were from Israel on 4chan. So any other platform, are we kind of thinking maybe that could be the same thing? Like, look at all these responses here. Suspect or hero with the salute thing, free Palestine, free the world from Israel, all these responses.
And open fire, striking.
So this is, I'm going to mute this because she's talking over this. But this person's just scrolling through all these comments. Like Israel is the enemy of humanity, sorrow prayers, free Palestine, and action. Like somebody's saying, yeah, this is a freaking movie here.
Yeah, that would be me. And cut.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, guys. Let's reset.
But you can see what is going on here, right? You get all of these bot accounts. Maybe it's real people, right? But how do you know? And that's my question is, how do we know these are real people leaving these comments and making it seem like they wanted these people to die, you know?
We don't. And now with AI can manipulate algorithms. AI can pretend to be people, which we saw it was calling people up and scamming them for money. AI could be used for videos. Like I was saying with the Comey sitting there, I'm like, is this really Comey or is that really these people running away in that one video where the guy's running and taking... that's what I do, folks, is I always look around. I don't actually look at the person. I look around them. You know, I'm being in film. I know if it's a green screen. I know if it's a stage. I look at people. Same when the guy that got shot in the stands, the firefighter. Right. I looked at how people were reacting to that, being like, this guy's head got blown off, and you're all just sitting there going like this. You know what? I would have been George Costanza. I'd have been throwing bitches and kill children and get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Save Flex. I got a show to co-host. Save myself. You know, have you ever seen a gun go off or a backfire of a car and everyone does this?
Oh yeah.
I look at the surrounding. I don't look at just the one thing, you know.
Well,
you got to look at it.
And that's why I think that, you know, if they're saying like, well, why would they risk it with the Trump assassination? You know, it's like, well, they only really risked it with Trump, and they really just surrounded him with the Secret Service, and that's where they could apply the blood, and they could do all these. Like his shoe came off. They did like the whole ritual thing with blood on the right ear and the thumb.
I mean, how do we know someone got shot? Like you had 8 people go up in the shuttle Challenger, and they all seem alive. I just watched a documentary on Netflix about the Oklahoma bombing, and we should talk about that sometime.
The twin guy.
The overlay of the 2 guys going, that's the exact same guy.
Right.
You know, like they don't kill anybody. I mean, they do. Don't get me wrong. People were killed at 9/11, definitely.
Right.
But when you talk about things like this, the way they acted, It's just like, has anyone actually gone online and see, was there a funeral service for this dude? Do we see any videos of this dude?
Right.
Nothing. We were just told dude got shot in the stands.
Yeah, and he lived a nice life, and he was a volunteer firefighter, right?
That's it. The story was already printed and sent out.
Well, and then there's so people are like, well, what's your evidence of like, why would this be a false flag, right? And there's
everything is.
I mean, so remember the pagers that exploded?
Yeah.
Supposedly that was like Israel bought these and sold them to either Hamas or whoever, right? And these were just exploding pagers. And we were led to believe that the pagers that were being exploded on camera were all belonged to terrorists. That's just what we were told, right? But here is somebody who was like an undercover Mossad agent openly admitting on 60 Minutes that, quote, we create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. The world is our stage. So take a listen to this.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Here we go.
How did you convince Hezbollah to buy this?
Well, obviously, they didn't know that they were buying it from Israel.
Who did they buy it from, or think they were buying it from?
We have an incredible array of possibilities of creating foreign companies that have no way being traced back to Israel, shell companies over shell companies who affect the supply chain to our favor. We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. The world is our stage.
How did...
That's Jeff Bezos, everybody. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
Hey,
it was somebody in a
listen.
mask with a voice
He's
changer.
on TV telling you that nothing makes it to air unless they want you to see it.
Right.
And they wanted you to see this. And this guy's telling you, because again, it's part of their karmic retribution, or they just want to fuck with us. They are just fucking with us. And I'm okay with that because I can see past it. Just don't mess with kids.
Yeah.
And
I don't know, man.
And don't start wars and stuff like that. But I mean, they're all actors.
Well,
nothing gets on TV, gets in your feed, especially if it's going viral, without them wanting them to.
Right. Here's another example. So Israel bombed its own Israel embassy in London in a false flag attack and framed 2 Palestinians. This was former British MI5 agent Annie McCone. She explained how the Mossad bombed the Israel embassy in London in 1994 and then framed 2 prominent Palestinian activists. And here is her kind of telling that story. This is like a 2-minute video, but it's worth a listen because I forgot about this. Here we go.
But the 2 cases that really got us, first of all, there was a false flag attack in London in 1994 where a car bomb exploded outside the Israeli embassy in the centre of London.
Now, I remember this vaguely. We're talking 14 years ago.
It's a long time
but
ago.
But it was huge at the time. I mean, it was a huge worldwide story.
Yeah. In fact, there'd been an earlier attack against some Jewish interest section in Buenos Aires earlier that year as well. Similar sort of MO, modus operandi, with a car bomb driven and parked outside that exploded. Very minor injuries, that was all. Okay. Nobody was killed. And it was a very sophisticated device. It appeared to eat itself, eat all the forensics. Now, this is very, very rare. Even the IRA, which is a very sophisticated terrorist organisation, could not make bombs that effective. So it looked like a, sort of fairly technical person had put that together. But what emerged from that, the senior MI5 officer who was in charge of the investigation into it and had seen all the evidence but also all the intelligence, which isn't necessarily admissible in court, wrote his formal assessment at the end of the case. And he said he reckoned that Mossad, the Israeli External Intelligence Agency, had bombed their own embassy. A sort of controlled explosion outside the embassy. And as I said, that was a senior MI5 officer. That was his formal verdict. If you read that on the internet now, you would say that sounds like some mad conspiracy theory. But it wasn't. This was the official position of MI5. And he said that they did it for 2 reasons. One, they were always hassling MI5 for increased security around their embassy and other interests in London. Because, of course, London had a reputation of giving safe haven to Arab dissidents from around the world at that point. And MI5 kept saying, well, there's no reason to increase the threat assessment. You don't need extra protection. So letting off a controlled explosion outside, of course, they immediately got what they wanted there. But crucially, 2 innocent Palestinians were arrested, charged and convicted of conspiracy to cause that attack. And they were very active in a Palestinian support network in London, political campaigning for the people on the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. And they were gaining some traction in the media. They were getting quite a lot of support. So by arresting these people and framing them for an attack and sticking them in prison, the whole network just shattered and hasn't got back on its feet to this day. So that would be a clear political advantage.
Yeah, a clear political advantage, right? And so I'm just asking, in this scenario where you have 2 Israeli embassy associates die, they get shot by this guy chanting Free Palestine, who does this benefit? Israel?
Well, nobody else but them.
Right.
Not the U.S., not Palestine, not Canada, not China.
Mm-hmm.
Them.
Yeah, and so you're going to see a lot of people saying, I mean, here's another example of a false flag. So a woman who performed Nazi salute at protest is unmasked as the owner of 2 kosher cafes inside of a Jewish hospital. So she's very pro-Jewish doing a Nazi salute? That doesn't make sense. Why would she do that?
Or does it?
Mm-hmm.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right. And, you know, this is one of my favorite memes here. I think I've shared this in the past, but, you know, this is me every time when the government conducts their false flag operations.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time.
Not this time.
Not this time.
Nope.
It's totally made up. Pure fiction.
Pure fiction.
It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up.
We made it up. There we go.
You know what I find interesting is we will watch movies, and in the movies they tell us what they're doing, and you believe it. But because it's a movie, you go, well, that can't really happen. Where I'm like, why can't it happen? Why can't it happen? Of course it can happen.
Exactly.
Of course it can happen. I love the Mission Impossible films. And at one point we find out that there's a mole in there and there's someone inside. Like, of course.
Like the movie Shooter. Remember that? Mark Wahlberg, they hire him for protection, but then they actually try to kill the president and then blame it on him. Like, that's a setup, dude.
Why will we sit for 2.5 hours and believe it? Go, I could see this happening when it's someone other's country, but you can't. I'm bewildered that people can't, see that. And there's always this defiance. There's always, resistance. Like in Star Wars, you root for the resistance. The Hunger Games, resistance. We as humans are like, yeah. And then in real life, we're like, huh.
Yeah, we're like, the resistance sucks. Oh, they're terrorists. It's like, well,
elbows up. Like, it's just like, what?
Right.
Like,
and I'm not saying like all Palestinians are not terrorists, because there's definitely terrorism that happens on both sides here. I'm not saying one side's better than the other by any means. I'm not sticking up for anybody. I'm just saying you have Israel bombing the fuck out of Gaza for October 7th. And that's clearly not an equivalent retaliation. Like one thing is close to a genocide. The other is you had very horrific things happen to a subset of people, right? So wiping out a clear, race and creed of, like a set of people.
Yeah.
I'm just saying right here, dude, false flag or horrific staged event blamed on a political enemy and used as a pretext to start a war or enact draconian laws in the name of national security.
Yeah. And they've been doing this since day one.
It's all to keep you safe.
It's the same script. Like they're not even like, they have no creativity left anymore. That's why even with movies, they just do a prequel and a sequel and, or a remake. There's no creativity, which tells me that, and I said this a couple weeks ago, human beings are not superior. We're not.
Right, dude.
We really are dumb. We really are dumb, And when I watch shows how a cult starts, and I'm like, how do people, and if there's no drugs involved, because sometimes the drugs can mess up people. And I listen to a lot of crime podcasts. I'm like, how did you fall for this? It's because humans are we're not superior. We only tap into 10% of our brains. The pineal gland is calcified from all the drugs, the food, the fluoride.
Right. I think that
we're not
the media like Trump needs the mainstream media. He needs the deep state, just like every superhero needs a supervillain.
Yeah.
Right. It keeps you.
Those movies would suck if you don't have a villain.
Right. But like, people are very tribalistic, and they know that, right? The people in charge of business, bankers, you name it, they know everybody can be divided, right? And that's why the Q posts were so good, and they clung to people because they go, oh yeah, like we need to be united, not divided. Sadly, I think that even if we were united, we would find some bullshit excuse to start fighting with each other. That's just humanity, right? But
I guarantee you, if we got rid of the news and got rid of this shit and you just didn't know, and back in the day, you didn't know, like you watched the 6 o'clock news, but that was it. Like there wasn't this bombardment of this information, false information, misinformation.
Right.
We wouldn't know. I'm not kidding you. I have a great fucking day when I'm not on my on Instagram. And Instagram right now, it's pornography. There's child porn on there. Like it's just the silliest thing I've ever seen.
Really?
Oh God, this just horrible stuff. Because I'm a fitness person, so all of a sudden something will come up and there'll be some little kid with no shirt on in his underwear flexing. I'm like, and I actually tag it saying inappropriate. Like I'm a coach. I don't need to see this.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's people that will look at that and go, "Oh, I'm saving this thing." It's not
there. There is something. There's something going on with like weird, like conspiracy channels that I follow. Sometimes they'll just post like a random girl's ass jiggling, and I'm like, "What?"
That's what I mean.
And people are like, "Unfollow!
What's
going on? This got hacked or something." I'm like, "Why?" Like, if you look at all of their reels, it's all like conspiracy, and then just one about a girl shaking her boobs or something, right?
Yeah, and it's basically this influx of this information that does nothing for us because we're not. We're not getting out of this in the sense where if you get rid of the mainstream media, it's going to change. Because now you have people on the right putting out bullshit videos and lying about stuff, and we'll call that shit out.
Well, and then so with this false flag thing, I saved this guy's post because I thought it summed it up. I would have done it a little differently, but it summed it up nicely. Okay. And so he says, so it begins. This is Draven Noctis on Twitter. I don't even know who this is, but says, and so it begins the false flag events to once again stir up the people. I'll go ahead and just lay out the game plan before they even try it, and you can take it to the bank that it'll come to pass. I've seen it too many times, so so have you. You just forgot. So number one, people begin to notice Israel problem in America. Number two, people noticing that Israel commits genocide in Gaza. Number three, people begin noticing that America is pulled into war in the Middle East for Israel constantly. Number four, people begin noticing Israel owns all politicians via blackmail and money via AIPAC. Number five, people begin to grow sick of it and speak out in a real way. Number six, college campuses begin crackdown on students to stop growing support for Palestine and against Israel. And the crackdown spreads to social media and TikTok. That's what we're seeing now. 7, politicians try to pass legislation forcing people to do business with Israel and not to critique Israel. We just saw that try to happen, right, with the IGOs or NGOs. 8, Israel seeks to increase speed of its genocide and occupation of Gaza and to finish the greater Israel agenda. Trump even told Netanyahu, get the job done. Number 9, Israel seeks to pull America into war once again, but this time against Iran. That is something that Trump is pushing back against, and I'm hope that he stays true to that.
I hope so too.
And then he just goes on to say, people begin to notice these truths and speak out louder, but then the American government begins false flag operations that will paint the supporters of Palestine and Gaza as violent terrorists. And then the last but not least, legislation will be introduced and laws will be made that support for Palestine and against Israel are criminal because it incites violence, and we just can't take the chance and allow hate to be fostered, right? So the result is we lose more free speech and we lose our rights. Israel gets to carry out all of its goals in an unopposed way. And I'm just saying, it makes sense when you look at this because I know where this is going. If you look at Trump is saying we must do more to stop this. Pam Bondi is coming out saying we're going to throw the full weight of the law against this individual. Same thing with Dan Bongino, Kash Patel. the gravity of this situation seems denser compared to other shootings. He said, like, the full force of the law, we're going to do the full extent of punishment. It's like, well, okay, shouldn't you do that for everybody? Like,
Yes.
why are you calling this specific event out as,
why are you're kind of cherry picking here, who you want to prosecute or not prosecute.
right. And so, like, I'm just saying, you can like, it's not about the people, it's about the government. And so the Israeli government is messing around and has been messing around for a long time. Same thing with our government. Our government is no pretty penny. We are just as bad, if not worse, right?
Yep.
So, like, we got to solve this problem of, like, people thinking that our government is going to change our government and rat out on our own. Like, no, like, I just don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think that the good guys will infiltrate the bad guys. It's like, if you're going to join a club and you're a new guy and you start coming in and saying, like, hey, you know what? I like these lights, but they should be over there. And, like, why are you guys drinking so much? Put the dishes in the dishwasher, guys. And you start barking all these rules and they go, whoa, 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 whoa. This is our club. Who do you think you are? And, like, they'll put you in your place, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, that's how I see this. I'm just saying, like, I can't see that, like, yeah, even if you have 10 new guys that are good, the numbers just won't be there to succumb. Like, you will succumb to this evil nature of the beast, right?
It just, the tentacles are far and wide. Like, it's just too much. And that's why I've said in the past, is Trump part of it? Does Trump understand how deep it is and he can't change anything? I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, this is centuries of this. Like, that's why they're so good at all this, and that's why they've changed the curriculum in school. That's why they got their hands on the medical system. That's why they got their hands in the justice system. That's why they got their dirty paws, and they have their dirty paws in everything.
Well, and that's why, like, I am open to the idea of you got to be dirty to take down the dirty. Right. I think that if Trump is compromised and they have blackmail on him, that's the only reason why he's allowed to be alive, or he might have blackmail on somebody else. It's like to be, like, in this situation, it's such a dangerous game that I think that you have to have shit on you in order for the bad guys to trust you. It's kind of like you got to do drugs with the drug dealer so that way you trust you.
Would you take the dirty money, Greg, and sell your soul? I know someone commented on on YouTube saying, I'm kind of worried about Flex always saying he's going to sell his soul.
It is creepy, Flex. You gotta fix that. You gotta do some deep soul searching. I
do
never
some deep soul searching.
Yeah, I don't think I could, dude. I don't think I could, because eventually karma's going to catch up to you. And whether it's you or your family, I just don't want to put that onus on anybody. So
and you can tell people, and I'm joking about all that, folks, but I'm just like, if someone approached both of us and said, hey, we're going to pay you guys $1 million a year, but you got to say your own shit. Like, that's what I mean by, like, when you're approached and all of a sudden you're like, hey, you can look after your family. Hey, you can do this, but just sway a little bit. And I think that's how it happens with a lot of these stars, sway your opinion a little bit. And then all of a sudden in 2020, it's not swaying your opinion. It's like, hey, take this or you can't be part of whatever. It starts off small, it does start off small, and people are struggling right now that they'll take any bit of it,
But here's what I don't want to happen, because I know it's going to happen, is people will say that this analysis that we just did is anti-Jewish.
No,
because we're criticizing the Mossad and the Israeli influence from their government.
No, we're not criticizing the Jewish people. We're trying to explain to everybody that every government in the world is not run by who you think it is, and they're not good people. And you just want to, and I think most people want to just live their lives and be left alone.
Yep.
But we're not sitting there. I have Jewish clients, and I told them I was a Trump supporter back in the day, and and I had some great discussions with them, back when my opinion was a little different. But I always said to them, our governments are not who they are. They're not run by who they are, and this, I think, is why if it does come out, especially the Epstein stuff and all that, and it's just like when you realize that, and this is the Jewish people as well, not just the U.S. citizens, when you realize who owns and runs the world, you know, we watch movies about this and we agree that was a great movie, man. I could see that happening. But as soon as you walk out of the theater, you're just like, oh, well, that doesn't really relate to what we're doing. Yeah,
Right.
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, and that's why the whole Q operation was an expose, and it was a revelation of the method of what's happening. And they've even told you, like, what makes a good movie, good actors.
Good actors.
Right? The world is a stage. You just heard it from a member of Mossad saying the world is our stage. Okay? So in order to get into that, that's why I'm saying, like, you got to earn your way into this, the trust circle of trust, right? And so if Trump is going to try to take this down from the inside, you got to get dirty and become part of that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the only way that I could see maybe there is some hope and like maybe this does go down.
And I agree with that. And that's why when we had our episode with yourself, myself, you, myself, and Whiskey about the Trump assassination, I said sometimes the other side has to do a false flag to garner change. And I think that's where Trump's numbers really exploded, you know, being like, hey, we're going to do this false flag. And I personally don't think anyone was shot on that day. I think it was done to mirror what the cabal has done. Like sometimes you got to get dirty. Not dirty in the sense that they sacrifice somebody, you know, and that's a very interesting episode, folks. You should watch that because we broke it down where I specifically said, I think you have to mirror the bad guys to some degree without killing anybody. But I think to garner that attention and to get his numbers up and to really solidify his win, even if Trump cheated in the election, let's say he did in both elections. Maybe the military helped him get in to get Hillary out, you know, because of what they were going to do. That's playing dirty, but at the same time, it needed to happen. You know, it needed to happen. So, which is what I thought happened.
We'll see, because like I'm just saying, if you're doing this, and what do you have to do to keep that trust, right? Because you burn the bridges, I would imagine, in this cabal, well, very easy to burn, and you will never build those back, right? So I'm just saying, like, what do you have to do to maintain that trust? I don't know. And so that's where I'm like, maybe you do have to get a couple people killed. Maybe you do have to do a couple things in blackmail operations, right? Maybe you do have to, like, prove that you're willing to get as dirty as they are. And
celebrities do it with their families, right? There's always someone in the family that dies or their firstborn is transgendered. That's their way of being like, hey, you want to get dirty with us? You have to sacrifice someone and your firstborn. And it's kind of like, all right, like, okay, hey, talk to your son. You're going to be a girl. Why? Because it's going to make us $100 million a year. Okay. Right. I don't know how it works, but there's got to be a conversation there where a lot of these stars have lost a parent to them. Have you ever seen Michael Jordan crying after he won the championship after his dad passed?
Yeah,
that's not a cry of happiness. That's a cry of he was sad.
Yeah,
that was him hurting.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird
because of his gambling. But
there's a lot of weird overlap with that. I think I did cover that in the Kanye West celebrity sacrifice episode. That was a while ago.
All right. I have to go back and listen to that one.
Yeah, there was like some weird, like he won right after his dad died. He won his next championship on Father's Day. So it's kind of like one of those things where like, was it a sacrifice? And he was allowed to win, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you can see how upset he is. It's not a cry of enjoyment. You can just see it. You can just see it. And that's why I feel a lot of these stars eventually do drugs, do alcohol, because then they realize they are controlled. And to get to where they are, they had to get rid of somebody close to them.
I think that's what Kanye was trying to expose, dude. And I think that he might have gave up his mom, dude. Because if you think about it, because his mom, like, I mean, in a roundabout way, he kind of said, like, my mom died for this, but he could have just been saying, like, you know, like, she was trying to get, because he got a lot of money and she was going to get like plastic surgery, and then she died of like this nonchalant thing that's like, what? No one dies of that.
He's sitting there in the truck with his arm outside the truck, and he's like, "You got to sacrifice my mama."
Yeah.
Bill Clinton, Bill Cosby, his son, Michael Jordan, his dad. Like he's telling you, and I think that's why a lot of their souls get sucked. And there was this rumor that Justin Bieber and his girlfriend, who's his girlfriend before Haley, can't remember her name.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they had a child, and the child got killed, and then all of a sudden he gets, that could have been it. You know, how do you sleep afterwards saying, "Hey, I've got everything in the world, but I had to sacrifice my first child, my firstborn."
Yep.
A parent, someone.
Right.
And you got to do it. You got to do it multiple times. The higher up you go. Like, I know this sounds, to people that aren't awake to this, they're like, "What are you talking about?" But they kind of tell you, and they also show it in films and in music. They talk about it, and it's like, guys, like, this is not just a one-off. They're all telling you.
Yep.
Like, why all the Disney kids all fucked up? Because they've been abused.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
what?
It's not a normal business by any means.
Not.
So like, you
It's
gotta,
not at all.
It's a pay to play, and sometimes you're paying with sexuality. Sometimes you're paying with stuff
someone's life.
Right. Yeah.
Someone's life.
So anyway, to bring this all back around, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel are full of shit until they prove otherwise. Same thing with Pam Bondi. And then I just find it very odd that you had James Comey put out this 8647, linking it back to 9/11, and then all of you have like this, like the Jewish Israeli embassy kind of shooting and all of this stuff popping off of like this 9/11, not on the par of 9/11 attacks, but you have like this kind of same genre of, hey, we're getting attacked, we need to do something about it, right? You have politicians saying we need to go nuke the entire Gaza Strip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this might be a spark to start a further thing, or to get rid of those negotiation talks, right? So we'll see about that.
And it could be calms. Like, we're in a war right now. We really are. And it's an informational war. And I always found it weird that some people were wearing the medical boot, that could have been a calm. Dogs dying was a calm. Dogs dying is a calm.
The dog one was
Trump
weird.
did it. Yeah, Trump did it all the time. Maybe this 9/11 is a calm. The good guys saying to the bad guys, "It's about to come out. We're coming for you," or it's the bad guys saying, "Here it comes." That's how they communicate. Like, Trump would always communicate with whatever tie he was wearing, whatever outfit Melania was wearing. Like, this is me going back to
his gematria and his posts with his capital letters on everything.
Like, there is something going on there.
Right.
It could be them trolling us too. But like I said, a very small part of me, maybe 10%, maybe 12%, maybe went up 2% today.
Okay.
Feels like there's something going on. Like, Biden getting cancer could be a calm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just, this is how they do it. They're very, very smart, and both sides play that way. Even with whatever type of flag is behind Trump, does it have the gold fringe on it?
Yeah. Is the eagle facing the arrows?
There is something behind it, or it's just funny shit for Greg and I to talk about.
Exactly.
And entertain us.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They definitely do that. Trump posted like the Q plus stuff. He has like a picture of the whole Q thing
always
hanging
would
in his
point and do his
right. So I'm just saying,
there's
like,
Greg in the crowd. Greg, I see you, and like, oh, there's a Q there.
So we'll see. I mean, I'm totally down with you gotta be dirty to play dirty and to take down dirty. So hey, if he's gonna do that, I trust him? Fuck no. But
that was my mentality with the assassination, being like, hey, because I was waiting for that side, the good guys, to do their own false
quote
flag.
unquote good guy.
Well, but I was
the
waiting
better of the two
for
guys.
them to do their own false flag, and I'm like, oh, there it is, there it is.
I get you. Yeah, I will always question, why is Trump alive if he's such a stalwart in their cogs? I don't know. Maybe I said that wrong, but you get what I'm saying.
No,
you get what I'm saying.
No, we're all thinking the same thing. So either he's part of it, or they've all been taken care of, and they're just playing this out.
There we go.
And it's going very long because there's multiple levels. Like we were saying, you just can't accuse somebody. You have to get the information.
Exactly.
So maybe I'm up to 13% now on the sub. I just went up 1%.
Okay, well, hopefully they get taken care of, and hopefully you guys take care of us. If you like this episode, hit the like button, leave a comment. We will respond to all comments. At least I will. I know Flex will get on there sometimes too. But yeah, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think about this whole embassy thing. Was it kind of a setup? What do you think? Was it just, is Palestine crazy? I don't know. And then also leave a comment and rate over on iTunes, okay? Or at least Apple Music, Spotify. Leave us a rating. It really helps boost those numbers, all right? All right.
Those numbers.
Flex, we will not be here next weekend or next week, right? You are going to be gone, sir. Is that right?
I'm heading back to Toronto.
Okay. I might do a solo episode because there's something that I'm digging on. This whole 6/11 being the new 9/11. There's a guy, somebody sent a video in our Telegram chat, so I'm going to watch that. I might do a little deep dive on that and then do a little solo. Might be a shorter episode.
Little solo Greg. All right.
Thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. So we'll see.
Right.
See.
He's thinking about it. He's thinking about
Yes, I'm stroking the chin beard here. All right. Well, hey, you stay safe up there and enjoy next week off, Flex, and everybody else.
Thank you.
Stay steamy.